Wrong week to quit sniffing glue.
Hello and welcome. It's Labor Day 2016. I hope you're enjoying a well-deserved day off. If you unfortunately have to work today, or had to work today by the time this gets put up, it will have been many days ago. I hope you had a wonderful weekend and were able to enjoy at least a portion of it. I heard back. Yes, I heard back. Oh, you pushed off the Nautilus, did you? And I said, no, I didn't want to. It's just that something came up and I wanted to jump on that. And some people, again, a friend of mine asked me, what do you do with your days off now, or your weekends now that you have all of this time off? And it's like, well, I still work on models, but they're for me. They're not for the podcast or the video log or whatever. So let me show you where the desk is, what kind of shape it's in, and then we will get back to this week's work, which is finishing up the flying sub and starting on the Nautilus sub. And what you see here is a pile of well-dressed men. It is the Penguin kit from Mobius, and it is also a look back at the old Dracula kit that I've had forever and a day. And they are amazingly similar in that they're both black and white subjects, and the engineering of the tuxedos is pretty much the same. The parts breakout is pretty much the same. I want to get some of this cleaned off now so that I can get back to this week's work, but I wanted to show you where we were. This is the Penguin kit is the new kit on the block. Everybody else, the Dracula kit is a few years old by now. But the Penguin kit goes together amazingly well and easy. It's let's see, I put the feet in here, and put the legs on the feet, and the likeness to Burgess Meredith is uncanny. Now it's not quite finished. You can kind of see where I'm at in the build, but there's a neat little both open and closed umbrella that can be used with the arm as a weapon. I'm not going to piece it together, but it's going together pretty darn easily. The seams are all but invisible. And it doesn't have the elaborate backdrop that this Dracula kit does, but it's meant to go in with the other, the Batman, the Catwoman that we've already done, and the Riddler and the Robin, which are both fairly imminent. Should be seeing something out of that pretty darn soon. And here, of course, is the cape for, not the Caped Crusader, but for the creature of the night, which is Dracula. So it kind of goes something like that. And the blacks are a bit confusing because it's all about the finish of the blacks. It's a lot of black on black with white accents, and so you figure out, okay, you want a satin material, you want basically a flat finish on the outside, but maybe a satin lapel or a satin inside of the tails of the coat, or you want a nice satiny cape, but you don't want to make everything the same finish, so you give him a flat finish with gloss shoes and a satin cape, and you try to break it up that way. But like I said, let me clean this off and we'll get back to finishing up the sub. Okay, this is more like it. This is our old friend, and we're almost finished with it. I have the masks out here so that I can cover the windows one last time. I've got the top piece of it's just a piece of sheet styrene that I cut to this shape because I want to keep this separate from the rest of the finish, because I could end up putting way too many coats on that if I don't. So I just need to poke this back in place, and it kind of wedges. So you need to wedge that back in place, cover the windows, and I'll be ready to hit this top with a generous coat of gloss paint. You can see the back wall has been repainted. Everybody's happy there. I want to touch this yellow up, and I'm going to have to do that with Tamiya's to do this last little bit of detail work. But I want to get the this blue protected first before I do anything else. Okay, it's time for the first of many light coats of gloss on the top of the saucer and on the front of the saucer of the flying sub. Many light coats as opposed to one or two heavy coats, because if you do heavy coats, you run a greater risk of it onion peeling, because the clear pigment pools, and that's when you get the onion skinning effect, and I don't want that. So like I said, first of many light coats. And while we're at it, I can update you on the pit. This is the hole after Hurricane Hermine blew through, and we got a lot of rain from that. You can see where some of the mud has washed down into the freshly poured cement, so that'll all have to be shoveled out, I'm sure, or at least dusted off before they can put the bricks down, which should start tomorrow. The foundation block should start going up tomorrow. But the sun is once again shining, and the birds are singing, and the children are playing in the streets. Good morning, it's Tuesday, and if you can tell by the shiny glow, the lights reflecting in the flying sub, you can see that basically I didn't do much work yesterday. All that I did was to put on several successive coats of light coats of the Krylon Gloss Clear. Now I did not opt to go for the high shine automotive appliance look. It's got kind of a pebbly texture to it, which I'm kind of digging, especially at the scale that it's at. Actually the video is making it look a lot glossier than it is. It's got gloss in some spots, but it's not a high sheen. As much as I respect Rob McFarlane's excellent take on this subject, that was just not the way I wanted to go. It's not my aesthetic. So all it's left to do really is to do some touching up on the tailgate here, and then it will be another one for the shelves. And we're finishing up a Wednesday night by actually getting back to doing what I said I was going to do earlier this week, which was to touch up the yellow paint around here. And I'm letting that dry a good long while before I try to put any sort of sealer over that. So let that dry, and maybe in the background you can see some progress on our two tuxedo gentlemen. Patching black and sanding the seams on the jackets, and pretty much doing those little things. Time for a little chorus of Singing in the Rain. Just did the silver highlights on the inside of the umbrella, and you know, the first thought is to set up some sort of elaborate masking and cutting that out, and you know, sometimes you just have to go in there and paint it by hand. Now there are some spots that need of black that need touching up, where I got a little silver happy, but all in all, I think it came out pretty well. I'm going to put a coat of a satin on top of that, which will satin up the umbrella material, which is what I want to do, but it'll also put a dulling on the chrome, which is not so bad either. And then it'll match the outside and be more satiny. So that's going to dry. I'm happy with these seams finally, so I can attach the arms next. It is Wednesday, and in construction news, my dumpster has arrived. Yay! Progress is progress. Well, good morning. It is Thursday, September 8th. It is the 50th anniversary of Star Trek today, a day which will live in infamy and probably, like most of you people who are watching my reports, a formative day for everyone. But instead of working on a Trek model, which I really thought I should probably pull out and do, I've decided to reintroduce myself to this Pegasus version of the Nautilus, which is an independent adaptation of the design. It is not, I mean, it shares, you know, the steampunk look of the more famous Disney design, but it is not beholden to any design that has come before it. So it makes it quite a fun project to work on, much like the Pegasus Hopper, in that you really, while you have a, you have a signpost of how to go, you really have no strict marching orders on how it's to be done. So, and as you can tell, I'm mostly done with the interior and just need to finish up a few things before I'm ready to close it up. And this is the state I kind of left it in when I abandoned it years ago. My chief interest was to create painting masks for these windows, which I have done. And I am going to leave these windows with this brass frame. I'm going to go with more of a bronze exterior rather than the rusted copper that is more prominent in other iterations of this ship. But this is the bronze look, this is the kind of finish I'm looking for, is what I'm trying to say. And these are the windows with the masking removed. So, and this is the cabin, what I got done before I kind of abandoned it and walked away. I abandoned the ship. Yes, I was a coward and ran away from it, but I painted some tiny details to get it started. So basically what I need to do is kind of reacquaint myself with where everything is and see what, this is Paul's wonderful etch for the interior. This ship, the kit from Pegasus, did a lot of marvelous things and particularly groundbreaking things at the time, which was to include not only its own photo etch, but its own painting masks. Now, its painting masks, as fine as they were, aren't as good as mine, frankly, because they were printed on paper. I mean, it's punched out paper, and if you get that wet, paper has a tendency to wrinkle, and it can let paint underneath. So the vinyl is, I think, still a better solution for that. But I applaud the effort nonetheless. And the photo etch that came with the kit, or that comes with the kit, since you can still get it, is not too shabby either. But what it didn't do is include anything for the interior, and that's where Paul's wonderful paragraphics etch did such a better job at that. And I've got like this little cabin here that's meant to go up in the wheelhouse that there was no provisions for. So I've got these kind of things painted and worked out. I put a lot of energy into the ceiling before I realized how little of it you would actually see, but all it really does is serve to allow lighting to come down through. So I need to, and it goes like that. I need to work up whatever kind of lighting I'm going to put in this, because once you close it up, it's closed up for good. And that's where I'm at right now. I am reacquainting myself with where I left off, and with this friendly little gentleman over here also needs to be revisited, because there's a couple of arms I still have never put on there. So here we go, back under the sea on another sub. Come with me. I made it rhyme. Okay, one of the things, or actually two of the things you need to do before you can close up the Nautilus sides is you have to, this is using Paul's etch for the wheelhouse, since the wheelhouse was not included in the actual kit. Paul made up a very nice little fold-up control room, and you have to do some hugging out of the spaces around where it goes to make it fit, but it's well worth it. Now I'm going to try to pop a green, I'm going to see if I've got any green LEDs. I should pop a green LED facing backwards and facing forwards to kind of cast a glow inside there, since I'm not going to be able to actually get it up into the what's called the alligator eyes on the Disney version. It still has those same two big prominent eyes, but here you can kind of see how the wheel fits the contours of the bridge. There's a good view. So that's sealing in with my favorite JB Weld. It makes a very good light block, as well as a very good epoxy for filling in spaces and seeping into finding its lowest level and all that kind of good stuff, where it makes a good seal around things. and a good light block. So I'm letting that set up, and we're getting ready for the main salon to get it ready to go in. And I just painted the velvet bumpers, for lack of a better term, on top of the railings. Again, those are the Paragraphics railings that go in there. And let's see. Yeah, it's a little bit garish. That red is a little bit more than you need, but by the time you put a window in front of it, in order to see it at all, it really needs to be a standout color. So that's why that is that color. And let's see, once this is dried, I can put this, actually I have to put the window in place. You got to put the window in behind it before you can put the salon in from one side. And the idea is I am leaving my window frames this brass color. Let me pop that in. You're leaving the window frames a brass color so that they stand out from the... Oh boy, I can't do this with one hand. Let me put this down. Like I said, the idea is that you leave the window frames a brass color, and the bronze around it gives it a nice contrast. So, like I was saying before about putting the salon in the window in such a way, again, I'm back to the one-handedness, it's going to look like that. So having that red railing there really sets it off in a way that lets you see the detail. And if you look in there, you'll notice that I put some more of the JB Weld around the window to cement it in place, all puns intended. And I'm using it here particularly for its light blocking ability. There's going to be some light spill, I'm afraid, from doing the roof of this, and it hopefully will keep the window from transferring light where it shouldn't go. So again, you're looking at this from the inside, and you can see all the little facets of the window. So letting this set up, and that has had a chance to set up. Now, unlike the bridge or the control room, the wheelhouse option, this is not really doing anything more than being used as window caulking. It's not actually being called on to hold the piece in place. So there's no stress on that. What I'm saying was where there is stress on this because it's actually holding it in place. So we'll let this set for an hour or two and let it get good and tough. Well, good early evening. Is still Thursday, and work continues on the Nautilus. Now, I have on occasion disparaged the ability and or usefulness of 10X. I still prefer using it because it dries quickly, but on styrene, I've had some places where it didn't really end up sticking after all, and it just wasn't the best solution. However, I will tell you that on a Pegasus kit, it is the absolute best glue, because this ABS plastic loves the 10X, or shall I say the 10X loves the ABS plastic. They go together very well and glue very quickly and very tightly. So I have no problems recommending using that for this. And here you can see with the light shining through the ceiling about what the see, if you look carefully, you can see some detail in there of the books and the organ and the bookcase and the globe and the big old comfy chair, the two-sided comfy chair. So getting ready to close up the hull. There's the wheelhouse all glued in, and both windows, or salon windows, cemented in with a little bit of the JB Weld around them, and painted on the outside, at least just around the windows, because these windows have to go in so that the salon can go in, so that the lighting can go in, so that the hull can be closed. It's one of those, you got to do it in a certain order things, but then you do the overall painting. Well, rather than masking those windows, it was easier, or masking the whole bank of windows off, it was easier for me to go ahead and paint the ship at least close to where those windows are, not the full ship, obviously. and then put the windows in, and then I just touch the paint up around to it and not have to paint completely over it. And you can see the same with the eyes there. I'm leaving the top kind of that brass color, but I have yet to put in these inserts which go inside of these, so I kind of had to paint those before I could put the inserts in. So let's do that, and then put the salon in place so that I can get the lighting figured out. Okay, the lesson learned now is that any sort of detail that I worried about putting in that wheelhouse is a wasted effort. You're not going to see it unless you make these guys removable, which, you know, could have some validity to it. It could be, you know, if you wanted to make that a diorama and have that removable, but I don't. So what I'm going to do is take that grill that you see right there in the center of the back wall, which you may not see. It's right here. There's a grill. I'm just going to widen up a hole on that and poke the bulb out through it so one bulb will light up both of the eyes, and that will effectively take care of it. And this is my lighting solution for the parlor. It's sort of a poor man's light sheet. I've taken a bunch of segments of the light strip and used the self-adhesive sticking on the back to stick it down to a very thin sheet of styrene. And it just so happens that the center 4 lights I can stick down, and they will kind of match up with the holes. They won't be in the center, but they will shine down through the holes. Now, it does mean I'm wasting a lot of these lights. I'm wasting this row and this row, but I can't cut them because of the way the segments run. You have to have 3 in a segment. You can't cut into a partial segment. So what's going to happen is that I can put them in like this and then block off or paint over the rows that aren't going to be lit up, because I don't really need them light leaking all over the rest of the place. Okay, it took a hefty bit of soldering, and I think I'm actually maybe getting better at it, but there's the panel. So let's see how it works when you put it in place. Okay, it's a little more bright and less moody than I might have hoped for, but it definitely lights everything up. And you do get to see the detail in there, which, let's try doing that with the, see, you do get to see the detail. So, and there's how the lights look as they are in the ceiling. So that's 9 volts running through that. I might, if I knocked it down to 6 volts, it might take some of that away, dim it down a little bit. Plus I've got to add the green one on there, so we'll see if there's if that drops the voltage down a little bit, and then I need to test this to see if everything doesn't get too warm. So we'll let this run for a while and see what happens. And it looks like we're going to accomplish everything we need to in the wheelhouse with one 3mm green LED. So while that is setting up, that's a good place to stop for tonight, and we'll pick this up again tomorrow. Good morning and welcome back. It is Friday, and it's time to start thinking at least about what kind of a base I'm going to put this Nautilus on. Now, it comes with this neat squid base. It's a paradox of a neat squid base because it's too neat to not use, but it's too solid to use properly. I mean, I need to run a wire and a switch, and there's just no room to hide a battery or anything in there. So I'm going to mount it on top of this box. Box has a hole in the bottom of it for wiring, and I'm just going to glue that down, epoxy it down, or otherwise affix it, and stick the old squiddy on there. Now I've cut a small hole right there to go through the base and into the box, and I'm going to have to use a fine set of wires and camouflage them on the ship itself, and then it sits like this at a nice angle. It's a neat stand, but like I said, it's not really conducive. If they had made one of the arms of the octopus hollow to run wiring down, it would have been even better, but they did not. So I'm just going to have to disguise it as seaweed or something, but it's going to rest like that, and then it'll end up looking neat. But I've got the lighting module in. I need to tape it down. I have sacrificed 2 rows of lights here to make it work. I've got the green bulb in the wheelhouse, and I've got those 2 wired together, and I just need to join up a second set of wires to go down through this wee hole and into the rest of the ship, and then I can get this closed up and start putting the outside details on it, of which there are many. And here we have some happy results. Yes, I know this isn't supposed to be here. It's not a hood ornament. It's a clamp, just to hold it in place. And we can see we've got some significant light leaking going on around the alligator eyes. But that's what they make the JB Pro Weld for. Just put a little bit of, spackle some of that in there and kind of sink those into it, and that should take care of it. But we have a well-lit salon. You might say overlit, and I wouldn't disagree with you, but you kind of need that to see in what's going on in there. Now, it is a bit like a sauna, but I think it works. And now that I know that this wiring works, I can kind of work on the ship and the base separately, and start putting all of the, well, first, most importantly, is to seal this up into the 2 sections and start putting the surface details on that it gets. So let's take the power off of it and start solidifying a bunch of stuff. Well, now that the base is outside getting its first coat of the pebble paint and drying, I'm going to start, and this has been made into one good cohesive barrel of fun. It's time to start putting on the rest of these surface details, and I think the good place to stop will be getting all of these on, but not quite putting the photo etch on. I think I might leave that for a little bit later. We'll see how this much goes first. Here's the sub with all the little stanchions and tie downs tied down and glued on. These little guys here and those guys there, and these guys, and the chains, which are fun. The instructions indicate that there's a hole right there, and there is not, so I just knocked off that little pin so I didn't have to worry about it. And I can't put the nose piece on because it actually depends on 2 pieces of photo etch to go at the front of that. So that I'm going to let these sit for an hour or so, and then come back and I guess start putting the photo etch on. This all went pretty quickly. Like I say, the 10X acts like a almost like a CA for this type of plastic. It just eats it up and sticks like nobody's business. So I think I'm going to go grab some lunch. Well, this is some delicate fiddly bit of work, putting this photo etch on. I don't think I could have done this nearly this well, and whatever you may think of the outcome, if I had not had the good practice of working with Paul's photo etch over the years. It's very nicely done, the photo etch. It's just all kinds of delicate. You can see I got some railings on there. This was the fun bit, putting that rigging out to the front nose section, and it is I would say it's delicate, but it's under tension. You had to pull things tight to get them to line up to the slots they go into, so not to be trifled with. And of course, it's as soon as you put that on there, it gets in the way of everything. Okay, here is the Nostromo with Nostromo. There's your Freudian slip. I'm sorry. Here is your Nautilus. Yes, I feel a bit alien. I'm sorry. Here is the Nautilus with all of the kit supplied etch on the starboard side, with the exception of the railing that goes along the top, because I am not nearly drunk enough to attempt that. These stringers were fun enough as it was without it, adding any more fun to it. So what I'm going to do is let this set up probably overnight. This may be the last bit I do on it today, and then tackle the port side photo etch. And then once all of that is done, then I will attempt the railings that go along the top. There's like a basket arrangement that goes right around in here. So that will not be done tonight, but I am quite tickled with the amount of photo etch that's on here. It seems to be working. But like I say, I'm going to let it, let my nerves heal, not much more, not let the kit heal, but let my nerves heal, because this is nerve-wracking stuff, especially folding that set of steps. That was fun. So, that's it for this evening. Here's what the old gal looks like when she's perched on the stand. Yes, I've used more of my favorite textured sand paint. And the switch will go right there to turn it on and off. But I think it makes a nice little display. I like the way it kind of goes off of the stand on both sides. All I need to do now is finish up the brass on the. Wouldn't you know, it's on the side you can't see. There's all the brass there. I may put some more brass on it tonight before we button it up for the evening. And that's going to do it for this week. I've got a lot of work done on the Nautilus. You didn't think I would, but I did. Got the flying sub done. It is sitting in its display case. It's happy as a clam. Even kind of looks like a clam on the base. But it's another one for the record books, and pretty far along on this Nautilus. Once you got into it, it was really pretty easy to put together. The added guest stars of the Penguin and Dracula, I'm going to work on maybe some of those this weekend, probably finish them up, and then you'll see them finished on next week's report. But since I kind of cheated and did those off the books for myself, so those weren't really covered in the videos. So until next week, when we will be finishing up the Nautilus, and maybe, I don't know, working on something else, and I'll have the finished gentleman to show you. Be good to each other, have a fine week, and we will see you here next time.